here with me tonight. So,
hi.
He's here with me tonight. Some of you may have heard him before on my Patreon. We did a Q&A like a year ago, 2 years ago.
I think about a year ago.
Yeah, and we're here tonight to do this. You also probably know that I have a tarot deck collection. My partner has a guitar pedal collection, and we end up talking a lot about the ways those things kind of run parallel to one another in terms of small businesses, small makers, and how they're tools for the trade. Music in his case, and tarot in mine. Also, one last thing is that our dog refuses to let us do things together without her. So she's in the room supervising us, I would say. So if you hear any like licking sounds or sighing, that would be her. Alright, to get started, I guess I'm curious if you want to tell them how long you've been playing guitar. It doesn't have to be a long story, but like how long you've been playing, when you started getting into guitar pedals, and about how many do you have?
I've probably been playing guitar for about 16, 17 years, and I didn't really start collecting and using guitar pedals until maybe about 12 or so years ago.
Yeah.
A friend gave me an old pedal of his, and it was the kind of pedal that a lot of people don't like, and
A particular sound.
Yeah.
Like divisive.
Yeah, and I actually kind of like the sound of that pedal, but I don't
tracks for you.
I don't really use it that much now, but I feel like when you have it dialed in just right, it's pretty great.
Yeah. Will this mess you up that I'm playing with all the dials?
No, I wish you would play with all the dials.
Okay. And like how many do you have? How many pedals, more or less?
I probably have 13 or 14 pedals, and probably about half of those I use semi or very regularly.
Yeah.
And this is just
a few.
Just a few of my favorites.
We were gonna put them all out for you guys so you could see them all at once, but the setup limited us, so we just have these four here right now. But we also filmed last night a little bit of his playing, like kind of demo clips for the different sounds. So that'll be a part of the video tonight. I'm super excited about that. The last thing I'll say too is that, well, I guess I want to say two more things before we talk about the pedals really quick. One is that you have about 13, 14 pedals, you said, but you're like constantly switching them out, trying to get the right sound, which you get closer and closer to getting, and it's cool to see how you're able to mix and match different pedals, and that there's a good second-hand market, so like the pedals really seem to flow hand to hand to different owners pretty easily because everyone's in search of a similar thing, I think, right? Which is like the right sound.
Yeah, I think every guitar player is searching for a tone that they really like, and that tone is different for everybody. I'm not trying to emulate any guitar players, but I have a tone in my mind that I always want to achieve.
Yeah, that you're aiming for.
Yeah, and what makes it a sort of ongoing process is every part of your setup can impact the tone you get.
Yeah.
So starting with the strings on your guitar to the type of pickups that the guitar has in it, the type of wood that it's made with, even the cables that connect your guitar to
That's
the amp.
crazy to me. The amp, the room.
I
always come back to the room for some reason.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like I've heard songs that I like, and then later I read about them and they're like, we recorded this in an empty chapel on a rainy
process to get where you want to be. Another thing I want to add is all guitar pedals are doing is manipulating the sound wave. When you pick a note on a guitar or you strum a guitar, it sends that signal, the sound wave, to the amp, and that's what you hear coming out of it. But when you put pedals in between the guitar and the amp, each pedal is doing something different to the sound wave. It's manipulating it or changing it or pushing it harder, and it's just a really fun thing to do, is put them together and see what happens.
And it matters the order you put them in and which ones you combine, obviously. So you could use more than one and have it manipulating the same sound wave and really recreating the shape of it, basically. Or like the size or...
Yeah, a good example is, I don't have one here to show, but is compression. So compression was literally created by the phone company in the early part of the 20th century.
This is so interesting.
And what it was meant to do was compress the signal. So if one person at one end either had a bad signal or talked really softly, really loud. So if you're talking softly, it would bring that sound wave up, and if you're talking really loud, it would bring the top of the sound wave down. So it would literally compress it.
You can show them on the screen.
It would literally compress the signal to make it more listenable, and so you could hear each side better.
Yeah.
And there's pedals.
It's kind of like threading the sound wave. In my head, it's like threading the sound wave like through a tunnel, or like a certain parameter of like a certain range.
Yeah, so
like,
if you think
not a literal tunnel.
Yeah, so if you think of a sound wave, will go up and down from the median, and then if you push it down, then it makes everything more.
Yeah, he's going like this, and then you push it down. Yeah.
If you squeeze it or compress it, then it makes everything more listenable or easier to hear. And sometimes you don't want that, and sometimes if you have too much of it, you can lose the sort of character or dynamics.
It flattens things.
Yeah. But oftentimes it's really helpful.
Okay, and then the last thing I wanted to ask you before we get into these is, do you want to say something quickly to them about, like, where these come from and how there's a little bit of a DIY culture behind it as well?
Yeah, so maybe I'll describe each one as I talk about the pedal itself.
Like its origin?
Yeah,
okay,
and the
cool.
maker themselves.
Cool. Okay, so you'll hear more about that in a second, but it's not all like big companies, which is really cool as well. Okay, so do you want to start with this one?
Sure.
Okay, so you can also put your hands in the frame if you want, but I don't know.
So this one is the Supernatural Ambient Verb from Digitech, and of the ones I'm going to show tonight, that's the only pedal that is from like a larger company.
Yeah.
All the rest of them are small makers. So this is a reverb pedal, and most of you probably know what reverb is if you just think of how a sound reverberates out or rolls out once you make it. That's all this is, and it's probably one of the earliest effects in electric guitar. This, even though it's called ambient verb, it can be used for ambient music, but it really is, what I like about it is how versatile it is. It has a lot of different settings, which I don't always like, but I like on this pedal.
And that's up here.
Yeah,
Like barrels.
and so you can see here, there's a
I know it's
setting.
hard to see in the dark, right?
Yeah, there's a setting at the top called Supernova, which gives you kind of this crazy, sparkly sound, but it has more traditional reverbs like plate and hall reverb, which you get on a lot of reverb pedals, and I think it's just, like I said, it's just really versatile, and it plays really well with other pedals. The last thing I'll say about it is this thing is like built like a tank. It's heavier than all the other pedals. All that would be left are cockroaches, Slim Jims, and that pedal.
Beautiful. I'm glad you own it. Is this the only reverb pedal you have?
Yes, currently.
Yes. Do you have some other pedals that do like similar things but in different ways?
I do, and in fact, my guitar amp has a built-in reverb on it, which is also pretty good. I use that sometimes as well.
Cool. Okay, so should we splice in the demo here?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. And it's like, just think about reverb as creating atmosphere.
Cool. And just so you guys know too, I told him when we were doing the footage of him playing, I was like, don't play how you normally play, like play it slower, like play it softer. And even with his crazier pedals, like what would be the craziest, like distortion or the flanger?
Yeah, probably.
Is that it? The flanger?
Yeah.
I was like, make it sound like a lullaby. It needs to be like a lullaby. So his playing was limited to our needs here. You did a good job accommodating us.
Thanks.
Alright, so moving on. And we have the sighing doggy in the background. She just let out a big sigh. This pedal, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what's this one?
So this is the XS V2 from Old Blood Noise Endeavors. So they're a company, a small company out of Oklahoma City. They're one of my favorite guitar pedal makers. I really like their ethos is really to create pedals that you wouldn't find elsewhere to help you go into sort of new sonic landscapes, to kind of create new things that you wouldn't be able to otherwise.
It's a pretty epic objective. I like that.
Yeah, and they're weird, which is great.
I mean, as shown by this pedal is strange. I think it's cool. You know, just the design of it, even. Sometimes they'll collaborate with local. Is it them who collaborates with local artists?
Yeah, every pedal has a different independent artist that they work with to create the design on the pedal.
Yeah, super cool. Okay, so wait, what? I forgot, or I wasn't listening. What kind of pedal is this?
So this pedal is actually both a distortion pedal, which is the switch on the right, the bottom there.
This one. This one.
Yeah, all right.
Left, right. It's all the same. Thanks for trying to cover for me. This one, guys.
Yeah.
The right.
And then the other side actually has 3 modulation effects in it. Chorus, delay, and a 5th mode.
And so you're just pressing down with your foot on this to cycle through them? Or?
No, this just turns it on. This switch here is where you move between the 3 modulation effects. modulation side, and I'll really just talk about chorus. Chorus was an effect that I was never that into until I got this pedal. At its most extreme, it almost sounds like you're seasick. It's like got this like warble that goes back and forth, but at a more like medium or like moderate setting, it adds this really nice kind of brightness, and I've just found that I really like it, which I didn't think I would. And then on the other side is the distortion, and so on this side, that's when you turn on the distortion. Right. And distortion is part of a group of pedals that would be called gain pedals. So that's overdrive, distortion, and fuzz, and then also sometimes a booster. And basically what gain pedals do is they push the signal coming out of your guitar, and it adds this grittiness or like breakup sound. So if you were to take an amp and turn it all the way up to 10 and strum your guitar really hard, the amp itself would start to break apart. And so these pedals basically mimic an overdriven amp, really pushing the signal hard.
But the sound is literally of an amp breaking apart.
Yeah,
like there's this YouTube video of someone putting like a bunch of hammers in a washing machine or something. No, just one. And as it goes around and around, it like breaks the washing machine. That's what the image in my head right now. But it's literally that sound.
Yeah. Basically, it's literally the amp breaking apart, and so these pedals, they each do it in a slightly different way, and slightly, can be slightly heavier. But any kind of, anything from metal to rock to funk, there's, unless you're hearing a really clean sounding signal, it probably has some kind of distortion or overdrive or fuzz, some kind of gain happening.
Cool. Okay, so should we put in the demo clip here?
I think so.
Okay. Alright, so this one now.
Yep.
Okay. Alright, tell us about this guy.
So this is from a company called Farm Pedals.
Does it say that? Oh,
yeah.
here it is.
And it's the Boost of the Dead V2. And Farm Pedals is literally a family that has a live farm. They farm in Maine. I believe it's an organic farm. And then when the winter rolls around and it's the fields are fallow and it's too cold, they literally make and sell guitar pedals and guitar straps.
Which is so cool. And so then isn't it like the inventory will be pretty limited and is solely dependent on how much they can get done in that off season?
Yeah, and they make really cool and interesting pedals. And so this is a Boost pedal that is based on three different boost effects that Jerry Garcia used in his guitar rig. They were custom made for him. And I like the Grateful Dead, but I'm not a huge Grateful Dead fan. So this pedal doesn't make you sound like Jerry Garcia necessarily, but what it does is there's a lot of boosts that are clean boosts, and so they're meant to push the signal and everything that's happening without changing it at all. And a lot of the time you want to use that, like if you're gonna do a guitar solo and the band's really rolling and you want to be able to kind of cut through, you want people to be able to hear it without turning up the volume, you might hit a boost pedal. Or in recording, you want to cut through the mix, so you might hit the boost pedal to make it stand out a little bit. This particular boost is not a clean boost, so it does alter the tone a little bit, but it alters it in, for me, a really interesting and great sort of tone shaping way. So it kind of fattens up the tone. It can add a little brightness to it depending on which of the boosts. And yeah, it's really versatile, and it's one of my favorite pedals.
Cool. I just love the company too, and the colors. It's like simple but gorgeous. Alright, and then we have this guy. I can see here myself that it's a fuzz pedal.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this is the Shigeharu fuzz.
It's matte here. The
Yeah.
rest of them are slick, but this one's matte.
Yeah.
Okay.
That one's also like kind of heavy, really sturdy.
Yeah. These two are chunky.
Yeah.
Chunky monkeys.
And so Caroline Guitar Company is based out of South Carolina, and I really like the founder. I should say, this probably goes without saying, but all of these smaller companies are all people who play guitar, and it's a community of people who just got interested in modulating and making your own stuff, and then it turned into companies for them. So this guy's really cool. I really like what he's about.
The design of this one is really cool to me too. There was just a siren, so I forgot what you were saying. But do you know what you were saying?
I don't know what I was saying.
The guy makes them.
Yeah, I really like the company. He makes great pedals, and some of my favorite pedals, and I like these knobs. They kind of look like 70s or 80s like stereo knobs, or like audio equipment. So so fuzz is a really fun effect. This particular fuzz is just an absolute beast. This is the gain knob, so I rarely have it above, like maybe 11 o'clock. I mean, if you go all the way up, like the house will probably fall down. It's pretty wild. And there's also this octave switch that if you hit that, it kicks the pitch to a higher octave and makes a crazy kind of sound.
That's cool. It's just like an immediate octave jump.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And fuzz, you hear fuzz in, a lot of funk, a lot of, blues, pretty much anything, a lot of metal players use fuzz and distortion, but yeah, it's just it's really versatile, and like I said, it's kind of a monster.
Anything else you want to say about this one?
I don't think so.
Or should we just let them hear it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
this was a collaboration they did with an artist named Para, Parra, and so this is a limited edition version of this pedal called the Disaster Transport. And if you turn over, you can see the bottom.
The bottom.
Yeah, you can see Earthquaker Devices logo is the octaskull.
Naturally.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
and I had never noticed till we did this video how they're all numbered and how small the runs are. I've been like showing the stickers as you're talking. It's super cool.
Yeah. And so this company is based in Akron, Ohio. This is another one of my favorite companies. Again, I really love this company and what they're all about. And it's a husband and wife who run it, and the owner, Jamie, he was I believe that he was the guitar tech for the Black Keys when they were first coming up, and he designed a couple of pedals for them, and then turned into a company. And this is a delay pedal. Delay is somewhat similar to reverb. Sometimes there's a lot of overlap, and you'll see in the demo how the signal literally repeats. So you can vary the speed at which it repeats, or how long each individual repeat lasts, if that makes sense.
And when you were playing last night and it repeats, you had set the interval at which it repeats. It's not like you were messing with the volume dial to bring it up. Yeah, it's a cool effect.
Yeah, these
something about it feels magical to me. Just like the octave jump button you were talking about, but like, I don't know, changing the shape of the sound wave somehow makes more sense to me. Like, it's more probable and available than just pausing the sound wave and then releasing it later.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Yeah, and this particular one, there are lots of delay pedals that do lots of different things. This is one of my favorites, and it just has a lot of versatility, and I like the tone you get from it, and it's just a really fun effect, and it's one of my favorites.
Nice. Also, you will not care about this, nor should you, but I think this one makes my favorite tapping sound. Alright, so we'll let them hear it.
Let's do it.
Alright, and then the flanger.
The flanger.
So what's that?
So this is from a company called MXR. They're actually one of the big companies, the big makers, and this is a really basic flanger. You can can see it has two knobs, and flanger is a modulation effect. It's not so unlike chorus or another effect called phaser. They're all kind of in the same, they live in the same, part of town. And it creates kind of this swooshing sound or a vibrato type sound, which is also another effect. And it's really just varying the sound wave, kind of up and down or in a circular pattern. And it's just.
But it sounds crazy.
It can sound really crazy.
It sound almost normal. It sounds so strange.
Yeah, it's really fun. Like I said, this is a really basic flanger. There are other ones that can get more wild than this one, and I don't use it a lot because it is pretty out there. But it's a fun pedal to use. And
like you would probably, correct me if I'm wrong, not never, but it would be so unlikely to listen to an album where flanger was used in every song or something.
Oh yeah,
that would be ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean,
which is maybe the reason to do it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I think for me, like, flanger would be like, a part of a song or a part of two songs on an album. So
it's putting a really strong flavor on a dish, and so if all the dishes have that, it would drive you crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you could find a way to incorporate it more, but I think you want to use it so it's a flanger, it's happening, and like if I'm writing a song or playing a song, it's like I said, it's gonna be like, it's gonna be like a place in the song where we're like changing direction, and it's gonna I'm gonna kick it on. You're mostly just gonna hear that, and it's gonna be for 30 seconds or 60 seconds, and then and then we're on to like a different place.
Cool. That's cool to hear, like a likely application of it, or like where you would use it in a song.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what a flanger sounds like. Okay, can you take this? Thank you. Alright, I think that's all we have for them tonight, right?
I think so.
Is there anything else you want to add? Do you want to plug your non-existent ASMR channel? We joke that if he had an ASMR channel, it would be called
No Cheese, No Sauce, because I'm allergic to dairy, so I can't have cheese, and a lot of sauces obviously have dairy, so.
Yeah, so often those are the modifications on like your orders. If we order food, it's no cheese, no sauce.
Yeah.
So it doesn't exist yet, guys, and don't go taking the name from him. Don't go reserve that channel.
This is really important.
But that's his non-existent channel. I hope that you guys found this interesting or relaxing. Maybe you're asleep by now. I, for one, really like talking to people about things that they're passionate about and things that they know a lot of information about, little details, and just an industry and like a type of object I really wouldn't know anything about if it weren't for my partner. So I wanted to share that with you, and we've been wanting to do this video for a while. I've been wanting to do it for a while. A little collaboration and also a tiny showcase of his collection. So thanks for joining us tonight. Do you want to say goodbye?
Goodbye.
Okay, and then also, do you want to say goodbye. I don't think you know what it is.
Is it?
You say,
Goodbye,
I
goodbye,
hope
goodbye.
I hope you're doing super, super, super well.
I do. I hope you're doing super, super, super well.
And if you're not, that's okay too.
Yeah, it's totally alright if you're not.
I'll talk to you very soon.